Oh boy, my fellow Jedi and Padawans, let me tell y'all, the Dragon's Breath is back and is actually super juicy for DPS as long as you are using it right. This weapon is super good with that solar synergy and definitely for sustained damage rounds, etc. So something like the new Warlord's Dungeon, the Ogre Boss, Caretaker, everything like that where you gotta rotate plates and that damage phase is extended, this thing allows you to put out some mad damage. This was my solo run on that Ogre Boss and we did a good 25% just with these rockets, Cartesian coordinate, and Pyrogale gauntlets. So right here, the beautiful Dragon's Breath is back. We'll go over its intrinsic trait as well as its exotic and its catalyst. So starting us off right here, we have High Octane. Igniting nearby targets partially replenishes the fuel on this weapon. This weapon refills itself from reserves upon gaining the maximum level, which is ×5. So it basically has auto-loading holster when you're igniting targets around itself. You can see that happening when you're actually shooting targets with the weapon. It'll scorch and create ignitions by itself, so you can get that ignitions and auto loading proc very consistently. Now back to the rocket here, we got composite propellant. So rocket embeds themselves in a stuck target and periodically eject that incendiary fuel which inflicts scorch. The longer this weapon goes without firing, the more fuel the rocket contains. So the longer we hold it, it gets up to that ×5 and it'll just keep spurting out that little bit of flames. And it's kind of cool when you shoot it, you can see a little fire trail left behind the rocket, which also damages targets, so it's pretty interesting. And the Scorch and Ignite does pair with our fragments for solar, so like ashes, it gives that extra little bit of scorch, causing even more ignitions, etc. So we can get that auto loading to proc like I said earlier. Now for its catalyst, right here, this weapon replenishes its fuel faster. Defeating targets with this weapon causes them to periodically drop fire sprites, which is also pretty cool for that solar synergy. When we collect them, I'm pretty sure it gives us grenade energy, so we can use that also with Mercy to give ourselves restoration. So it's pretty cool with being able to shoot this thing at a wall or something like that, and it'll just eject out that fuel and cause scorch to enemies. You can create some pretty crazy amount of ignitions and fire sprites just by shooting it at a wall like you see here. It is a very effective way to use it as well, but definitely for the DPS side of this thing, like I said, throwing on that addition of ashes and anything that helps with scorch and ignitions for our fragments in these solar subclasses allows this thing to be some crazy DPS because it pumps out that slow trickle damage causing scorch and ignitions. You can switch to other weapons, do that damage, whatever it may be. Fusion rifles definitely been a go-to for me with this. Something else you could use is also like slug shotguns, something like that, but definitely weapons that have that solar synergy with this. Very good with Sunshot and this season in general, just because when we're radiant, solar weapons in general give scorch out, so it is kind of a just solar season in my opinion, making this thing a little bit better. But even without all of that and being able to use this for that sustained DPS is definitely one of the best ways in the game for that, for sure. It's not like a burst DPS like throwing Galahorns or throwing Gathering Storm or something like that at an enemy. This thing is definitely for that sustained 10 to 15 seconds of DPS before you gotta move, do it again while you can do other sorts of damage in the meantime with your abilities. You're super throwing on, like I said, a fusion. It is very nice for that solar DPS, like I said. So hopefully y'all can grab this from the season pass if you paid for it. Got it at tier 1, if not 35 like our typical exotics. Definitely a very fun exotic to come back to Destiny 2 in my personal opinion. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I truly appreciate it. Lots of content coming in the future here. Lots of builds as well as our ritual weapon, that good old sword. So Thank y'all again. Appreciate the support. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.